let me introduce Crystal Ferguson. She is an author. You name it, she's in it. Social justice advocate for families, everything. But I'm not going to spoil it all. So I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to keep my mouth shut at this point. But keeping further ado, Crystal, the floor is yours. Go for it.
All right. Hey, y'all. Hey, I'm so happy that you're joining me during your community hour. I see Emery waving her hand. Thank you, girl. My name is Crystal Ferguson. I am actually a John Jay alum. I graduated in 2011. I majored in culture and deviant studies. I think that's when they changed it, but when I started, it was called deviant behavior and social control. And I was a two sport athlete. I ran cross country and I played basketball. I was also the school mascot. I was very involved while I was at John Jay. Something to note is that during my junior year at John Jay, I was named the first John Jay student to be a White House intern under the Obama administration. So I moved to DC for 6 months. I didn't know that I had to move. I was just unfamiliar with the whole thing. But in that process, because it was an unpaid internship, I reached out to the administration, the president specifically, and asked like, hey, I got this great opportunity. It is unpaid. Can you help? And what they were able to do was reach out to our alumni department, and we were able to get a couple of donors from alumni to help me fund my stay in DC. So I say that to say, reach out to people within the school if you are looking to venture out and do anything, be involved. John Jay, I hear a lot of stories about people's college experience, and I can't relate on the negative side because John Jay was so amazing to me. Post John Jay, I graduated and I went on to my MPA program, a master's in public administration with Pace University. I must say, if you have the opportunity to go to a CUNY school for your master's, do it because you will save a ton of money. But I just wanted a different experience. And Pace was able to give me that. While I was there, I was able to do a study abroad program. And we went to Oxford University in London for the summer, and we were able to take a course out there. So it afforded that kind of opportunity, but I'm pretty sure John Jay has study abroad programs now, and they're able to fulfill those niche operations as well. After I left there, I ended up doing some work in the anti-gun violence campaigns. I was a speaker. I worked with a nonprofit called Life Camp. And then I did a couple of fellowships, and I landed in a position as a high school guidance counselor from 2014 to 2018. And so there I was able to work with a number of young people in a variety of ways, and we were able to have students graduate on time, go through their regents diploma, get into the schools that they wanted to go to, and I was the head of that department. And while I was there, my salary got cut, and I did not want to, let's say, leave the job immediately. So what I did was I started driving with Uber and Lyft. And within 10 days of me driving with Uber and Lyft, women just kept asking me for my number, saying, oh, I've never had a female driver. I'd love for you to drive me again. So that sparked something in my head, and I said, why not create a company? So I started my own company called Elegant Chauffeurs, and we've been in business since 2017. And we have mostly female drivers, but we do have a mix, and we have a large clientele. We've done work with the NFL, the Atlantic City casinos, the NBA, Fashion Week. Like it's been a great ride. And so with all of the components of my degree, I just made it work for me in every aspect of my life. So just on a professional front, I wanted to make sure that people experience hospitality as it relates to being in a ride. I'm sure many of you have taken an Uber or Lyft, and maybe the driver doesn't open the door for you, but we do at Elegant Chauffeurs. We open the door, we have mints, we have waters, we have juices. If you're having like a celebratory event, we'll have champagne, we'll have the roses, all of the, things that people like. We've done proms and things like that and weddings. Um, but in addition to that, my passion has always been writing. So I have since published 2 books, one called Wounded Liberation. I released it in 2020 during the pandemic. And that is more of a coffee table read to, help people who are going through personal challenges with their self-esteem and looking to um, heal themselves before even going to therapy, just getting some nuggets to be able to help them. So it's filled with poetry, prose, and just short stories of things that I've navigated, but I put it in a general sense where people can take from it what they need. And then in 2018, so I'm going back just a little bit. 2018, I was able to reconnect with my now partner who was incarcerated for 10 years for a crime he didn't commit. And so in loving him into freedom, and he was released in 2021, a lot of people started reaching out to me saying like, hey, what did you do? How did you do that? Like, you're a professional. I didn't expect you to be with somebody who's incarcerated. And I'm just like, I was with a person that happened to be incarcerated, but they themselves, his mind was not incarcerated. And so I wanted to speak about the wellness perspective that was not there clearly when you would go through the process. That experience is a draining process emotionally, and it's daunting, the walls, just the way that you're spoken to. So I wanted to position myself in a way as the wellness expert of what we should have as family members, friends, and community members going to visit people. So I wrote a manual, and it's called Loving You into Freedom, and it is the wellness perspective for justice impacted families. And we had the book launch and the release at John Jay at the Moot Court on October 5th. And so now I've just been in that mode, just, being the executive director for the nonprofit that we have also called Loving You into Freedom, and just navigating that path wherever we might go to just impact families. We have a coaching program for helping the families reunite after incarceration, because it is a transition and many people will suggest therapy immediately, but if you're not coached and guided into therapy, it could be a little troublesome. So we're doing a lot with Loving You into Freedom, and that's where I am today. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. That is awesome. Wow, that's a journey. That's definitely a journey career-wise and life journey too as well.
For sure.
Thank you, Crystal. Now, with that said, everyone, the floor is open to you folks. If you have any questions, concerns, if you want to speak up, you can raise your hand. I can do questions in the chat too as well. I like to keep this free flowing and relax as much as possible. So I know one question in the chat for you, Crystal, was, can you write the names of your books in the chat? I love to read them. That's a great question.
Yes. So I'm putting it into the chat now. So Wounded Liberation is on Amazon. And Loving You into Freedom is on our website, lovingyouintofreedom.com. And I learned a couple of lessons being a self-published author. So I'm not going to put Loving You into Freedom on Amazon just yet, because they take all your money.
Right.
I don't like that at all. So but we also want to make sure that our ecosystem when people share their emails and their phone numbers, we can actually reach back out to them. Because if you order on Amazon, you're lost in terms of we can't know how to contact you any further about events that might be happening. And because Loving You into Freedom is so community based, we want to make sure that we have like access to our people. So yeah.
That's great. I mean, I'm definitely going to check it out too as well, man. That's
Yay.
awesome. So folks, look, no questions is no question, please. There's a safe space. Kind of make this a coffee table kind of relaxed session.
Please.
Not the rigids of classroom. But I see Emery. I hope I pronounced that right. The floor is yours. Go for it.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm John Jay alumni. I just graduated in June, and it's kind of bittersweet because my grandma passed unexpectedly in May, who lived with me, and like I was very close with her. I was very involved in her passing. Like it was unexpected. I tried to help her. So during that whole time, like I had plans already to like start setting things up for graduation, but life happened, and sadly I'm still grieving. It's only been like 5 months now, so I'm in my part-time job right now, but I'm just don't know where to start applying for actual jobs to use like my degree. I know that I did an internship with a guidance counselor. I shadowed one in an elementary school, so that was my internship that I did for my junior year, and I was interested in that. I actually really liked it, and I was torn between mastering in school counseling and mental health counseling. So during like that time that I was gonna plan to have stuff aligned, I was still like torn. And then now that I've kind of been grieving for a while, I'm like getting myself together now, like finally in a better mental health space. I'm like, I think I'm leaning towards mastering in mental health counseling more. So I'm trying to find jobs, I guess, that are like more aligned with that, but I also am not shying away from being a para. So I've given my info to be nominated to become a para. I haven't yet. So I'm just, I feel a little lost. I feel like I wanted guidance. I wanted to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Emery, and my condolences to you. Losing a grandmother is one of
Thank you.
the things, and I totally, totally relate to that. I can't understand your exact feelings, but my grandmother passed shortly after I got my degree as well, and like it took me for a whirlwind. So it's okay to grieve. Try to give yourself some grace, but also like a deadline for yourself to kind of like, all right, now I want to move into the direction of my path, and take your grandmother's legacy with you. You know what I mean? Just be the best, so that way you could feel like you are honoring her legacy as you move forward. I would say too, I was gonna recommend for you mental health counseling only because you'll have way more options. If you do school counseling, you'll be more boxed into the schooling. But as you can see, with my degrees, I don't do anything related to them. I just made it work for me because you're gonna learn a ton of things that are helpful. And as far as jobs, like once you get into your master's programs, a lot of the career and development offices help you with internships and fellowships, and it's always great to be looking for internships while you're a student. Once you could say like, hey, I'm a student here, people love that and they just want you to work with them and shadow them. And also, but we could talk about like how to position yourself to be a paid intern, right? Because one thing that I did notice with John Jay students is sometimes you have part-time jobs that don't align with what you want to do at all, and what that does is it creates a cycle of experience that you might not necessarily want to keep on track with. So for instance, if you've only had jobs while you were a student as a waitress or a cashier, your resume is going to be stacked like that. You said that's you?
Yeah,
Girl.
that's me currently right now. I've been in I'm a banquet server. I've been this for 2 years now, and I have security. I was a security guard, so I have experience in security. But these are the only two jobs that I have experience in. So I have a lot of customer service skills. So I'm like right now, I'm trying to find like, I know like there are organizations I can find entry level jobs in and stuff right now. I'm trying to figure out how I get there, like with in my field, because all I have is like serving experience.
And that's the thing. If you keep stacking your resume like that, that is all you would be looked at as qualified for. And you don't want that to be the case. So diversifying your work experience is the key. Because you graduated in May, you have free career services, I think, for the first year after graduation.
Okay.
So please go back to you said
Oh,
6 months.
Yep,
But
first 6 months.
Okay, 6 months from June, and then I know we could pay after that to have a.
Yes, and it's
Yeah.
worth the 70, the 75
Yeah.
bucks one. That's the one that's
Yeah.
worth it because you get the whole year for it.
I'm definitely gonna pay once my free is not.
Certainly. I think just tapping back into your network, you have a network, use LinkedIn, reach out. LinkedIn is a powerful tool that I think students are sleeping on. So definitely set up your LinkedIn profile. And even if you don't have the experience yet, position your profile to what you want to do. Right? So let people know I am interested in doing XYZ. I'm looking for mentorship. I'm looking for internships. I'm like lead with what you are looking for so that way people can find you. Thank you for your question, Emery. I hope that was helpful.
You're welcome. Thank you, Emery. Thank you, Crystal. Yeah, Emery, come on by. Don't be a stranger. Definitely will be able to assist you with all that. I'll be even more than happy to assist you. I'll give you my contact information too as well.
Yes, I would love that.
And definitely we could chat and go from there. But Crystal hit it on the nail, and I'll be honest with you. Especially when she said when you get into a graduate school program, the network and the support you're going to receive is amazing. I think I wouldn't be here today working in higher education if it had been when I did my master's at Baruch. We all got in touch, and it was just a big breath of fresh air because I came from law enforcement background and I switched back up and I didn't even know where to begin. And it did help tremendously. And the fact that Crystal hits networking so hard, I cannot stress how people have found opportunities through LinkedIn too as well. So I'll have my contact information, but thank you, Crystal, for hitting that on the nail.
For sure. There's a quote that they say, like, your net worth equals your net worth. And I understand. I lived firsthand, like, to understand how network has increased my net worth. So yeah.
Definitely. Folks have any questions?
Don't be shy, guys.
You could also write them in the chat. So if you don't feel like speaking out, it's okay. We can definitely write in the chat. Oh, come on, folks. No questions, really? Come on.
They're probably on their break. They're like, But the good thing is they can check the replay. So what I will say is that for everybody that's on the chat, if you email me, if you want either an internship or a mentorship program, we're offering it at Loving You Into Freedom. And so we are a nonprofit organization, but it's cultivated under a social enterprise. So we do have products and services that are for sale, but they all go toward the mission. So we are looking for interns for our next cohort, the cohort that we have and that we already have in place, and in February, I believe, February 15th. But we're looking for our next cohort to be able to transition in. But the mentorship is open. And we should be sending out an email shortly about like the orientation for that. So if you're interested, definitely shoot us an email at info@lovingyouintofreedom.com. And I'll put it in the chat too.
And if you want to as well, Crystal, if you want to send it to me too as well, I can definitely post it up for the community to see,
Awesome.
if you like. And then plus I'm hearing a lot of folks, come on, please look at your John Jay Careers Online, because I'm the guy who posts the jobs, the internships, all that good stuff you see. I'm that guy. If I'm not that guy, then usually my other colleague will do it if I'm absent that day. But I'm very, very vigilant on it. I put it up right away, first thing in the morning, and when I leave at the end of the day, because I want to make sure you folks get all and see all the opportunities that are available. So please, folks, check your John Jay email, because I get a lot of students say, "Oh, I need to find an internship. I need to find an internship." So please, please, please look. Oh,
Crystal, is the mentorship only for like students currently?
No.
Okay.
You're welcome, Emery.
So I see here someone had a question. This is towards me, I'm assuming, since you've had policing background. How are you suggest getting started in policing? Well, that's a separate question, at least not for this session. So if you want, you can shoot me an email, or you can make an appointment at John Jay Careers Online. My appointments are up for next week, so you can take a look then, and we could definitely chat more about it. That's a whole different bag of apples there. So, but just full disclosure, I'm not in law enforcement anymore. I'm not retired. I left after 4 years. So, and I left for more of the reasons of, personally, in the sense that, I always wanted to work in education. There's some pluses, there's some minuses. And with that, and it's always good to get involved. Don't rush into things, because I did that. And I wasn't going to be happy the next 5 years of my life. So my philosophy was, I don't want to book them. I want to actually help them before, God forbid, they get to that point. But that's my soapbox on that sort of thing. But again, if you want to talk about that, I'm going to put my email for everyone in the chat. We can talk about that. And we can make an appointment on that. But I'm going to leave it at that, I would say. That's a whole different kind of animal.
Add to that, Edwin, because when I was at John Jay, I didn't know what I was going to do at first. And so the first thing that they were like, coming to me with is, oh, once you get your 60 credits, you can go to the cadet program. So I went and I tried, I applied, and I did the obstacle course and all that stuff. And then there was a hiring freeze. And that was good for me, because if I don't think I would have been able to survive as a police officer. Just the type of temperament that I have, it would have shifted me. And just the work that I do in advocacy now, I'm just like, yeah, I'm on a different, but it's just
on the positive.
Yeah.
On the definite positive. I mean, for my sense, it was more on the lines, unfortunately, my wife did not sign up for that. So don't make any life decisions without consulting your significant other. But she supported it, but I could tell that took a toll a bit on her. So that's why I left on it. I joke around and tease and a reminder, hey honey, I could have been retired on May 25th. I could be the house husband and it'd be cool. But I can't complain. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. So that's why it's great that you've jumped around and you looked at every opportunity. And that's why I tell students too as well, my line wasn't a straightforward line. I thought I wanted to teach, and I ended up leaving right before student teaching, doing my master's. And then, I went into Baruch for a little bit, and then law enforcement came up. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'm 22. Why not try it? Not that it wasn't for me. I would have done something more differently and would have geared towards something more positive in a sense. But, life makes its changes, and, I made a change, and I still enjoy doing what I'm doing. Just would have been able to retire a little bit earlier, but, yeah, that was a rough period. While that freeze was happening, Man, pay was not great. Pay
I'm
was rough.
everything happens for a reason. I was
Yeah,
just
it does. It definitely does.
me. But yes, definitely try different things out. You all are young people. Do not get locked in. And that's why internships and fellowships are so important, because you can see before you invest your time and energy into another degree in something and see if you really want to do it. If you don't have access or expose yourself to these industries that you're looking or thinking about, because TV is different than the reality. Okay. One of my internships was at a prominent law firm on 42nd Street. And because I did that internship, I realized I didn't want to be an attorney anymore. So like internships can go either way. Like you can learn what you like, what you don't like, but it's important for you to just expose yourself to different things, different networks. And again, LinkedIn has networking events that you can just go to and meet different people in different industries and say, hey, like I'm a student, I'm curious, what do you do, how do you like it, what's your quality of life like? Because those things are important. You don't want to just get a job with the top salary and then be stuck in the office until 11:49 at night, because that's what a lot of the attorneys were doing. And it was just like, yeah, that's not the type of life I want. Quality of life, like I'll make the money but I'll be in the office all day. That's not life to me. So the exposing yourself to different opportunities and just putting yourself out there, like, and to say, okay, I tried it, don't like it, tried it, love it, let me go this direction. That'll be so helpful in your journey.
That's
I have to get back to work now, but I wanted to say it was really nice to meet with you guys. I've been feeling like lost and distant from John Jay, but I am alumni, so I'm like, I need to use my resources. But yeah, thank you so much. I really took away stuff from here, and I'll be reaching out. So thank you.
You,
Thank you.
Emery.
Look forward to seeing you.
Yes.
Any other questions, folks? Concerns?
My executive assistant is on here just smiling away. She's a student.
Why? Why did you have to put me on the spot?
Because he asked if there are any questions. Do you have any questions for me, Miranda?
No, I just came to show my support.
Thank you, darling. Put it in the chat if you don't want to ask verbally. That is fine. I'm looking. I don't see any new questions.
What are the challenges you faced? Oh, hold on. For cadet program, how was the as asking about policing the cadet program? How was the obstacle course? Oh my goodness.
The course was interesting. I failed it the first time because I couldn't shoot with my left hand.
Oh, 16. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I ended up having to get like a one of those hands kind of like
Little
warmer.
workout thing, that little workout stuff with your hands. Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
I mean, the obstacle course, if you want to how you deal with imposter syndrome, especially being able to create your own path. Oh, well, let me answer the obstacle course first, but Elia Hernandez, if you want, just I'm going to be on campus on Wednesday. I do walk-ins during community hours. So you can come and talk to me. I'll give you the full 411 of everything of law enforcement wise. Trust me, I'm not just trying to shove it, but again, please reach out to me. I'm going to be on campus tomorrow. So it's a lot more specific on that. Not every law enforcement agency is the same when they do their rounds.
Right.
But okay, these are actually, let me get to this question here. How do you deal with imposter syndrome, especially being able to create your own path?
So the only way imposter syndrome comes up is if you don't really know who you are, right? Like, so if you don't take the time to know what you offer, know who you are showing up to be as your authentic self, it will become hard when you're trying to, I guess, perform in a sense, because you'll feel out of place. I would say I learned early about imposter syndrome in 2010 when I was a White House intern. I was one of 12 out of the 120 interns. So only 12 of us were people of color, and out of 120 interns. So that in itself was just like, am I in the right place? Like, what am I doing here? I was the only person from the inner city. All of the other students, including the other interns of color that were there, were like at Harvard and all of these big name schools. And I'm like, yeah, I'm from John Jay College. I'm from Brooklyn. Like, and it worked because I knew my place. I knew who I was. I knew that obviously I represent a large part of the population that doesn't get in these doors. So I was able to show who I was in that space. And I feel like me not second guessing who I was allowed room for the other people that were like never in communication with somebody from the inner city, much less somebody from like the hood, you know. And it was like a big deal. And I feel like imposter syndrome only gets in your way when you start second guessing who you are. So don't second guess who you are. Be grounded in what you have to offer, like I said, but also in how you are showing up and presenting yourself. So I hope that helps. That was a really good question.
We got some good ones now. Thank you, folks. Finally, as a woman of color, what challenges did you face regarding societal issues in correlation with job seeking?
What? All right, let me read it again.
Okay.
Challenges that I faced regarding societal issues in correlation with job seeking. I'm not sure. I'm the type of person, I will send my resume to everybody. When I was a student at John Jay, I would walk around with my folder and I would have at least 25 resumes with me on a daily. I would dress up when I would go to class because I was like, if my professor could recommend me or whatever, I'm going to do that. Or if I see somebody prominent walking through the hallways, I'm going to give them my resume. So I always put myself out there. I think the challenges I faced were only when I was in a position and I had to almost defend myself as a Black woman because somebody might make a snarky comment and then not knowing how to respond in a way that didn't present me as the quote unquote angry Black woman, right? And so just taking my time in being smart about how I respond versus react, and also knowing my worth. Like any job that I've left, I never left on a bad note. I always exit gracefully. Even if I'm like super pissed, if somebody does something crazy to me, I'm like, all right, no problem. And I will get my little fingers to work and, you know, thank people for their time. I'll look for the positive attributes that I could thank them for, and then I'm out the door. But I think whenever you're dealing with any kind of challenge, how you respond creates I guess a legacy of how you present yourself as a professional, right? Because we can get really crazy if we want to, but corporate culture, street culture is very different. And so if you take street culture or street responses into corporate, it will keep you like at a standstill. I'm not saying to code switch, but I'm saying to do things strategically. And there's a difference between strategy and manipulation. Strategically, you want to be able to verbalize yourself, your thoughts, your grievances in a professional manner that gets the point across without being emotional about it. Because a lot of times business is just business. And as women, sometimes we get emotional and get in our feelings. And so it's important to recognize where you are and what the best response would be for the moment. So I hope that kind of helps answer that question.
That was great. That's awesome. Oh, here's a good one. How was your interning experience in the White House?
It started off very interesting, right? I'm gonna tell you, I almost got fired on my first day at working at the White House, right? Because like I said, from East New York, it was a big deal coming from John Jay, coming from the inner city. And the New York Daily News was doing an article on me. And that was just so New Yorkers could be proud. Like, yeah, we got somebody going to the White House. She's from Brooklyn. And the first day was orientation. And this is a key point. First day was orientation. And they said, from now on, you can no longer have any interactions with the press because your voice is no longer your voice. Your opinions are no longer your opinions. They now represent the president of the United States. I didn't quite understand that, right? Because I'm like, my voice is my voice. I represent myself. This is my experience. But first day after orientation, literally first day after orientation, the photographer was there to take my picture for the Daily News article, which was going to come out the following morning. So they take my picture. I'll send you guys the link. And I'm standing outside of the White House, big smile on my face. And the following morning, once it hit the press, I don't know who called who, but I got called to the office within my department that was just like, hey, we said no speaking to the press. And I had to explain, like, this was something that was coordinated way before I even started. And I didn't say anything in the interview that would jeopardize the president or anybody for that matter. It was just highlighting that somebody from New York, from the inner city, was going there. And like, I name dropped John Jay College, a nonprofit that I was affiliated with, my church, my school. Like, it had nothing really to do with the president. But I will say, like, navigating that and thinking about me having to almost lose the internship because of a technicality like that was crazy, right? Because it's my second day out of a 6-month internship. But I had to think too, if you guys fire me today, do you know that there will be a follow-up interview about me getting fired as well because of it? And so I leveraged that because, yeah, I didn't say anything on behalf of the president. I think I said I want to, like, play ball with him because I was a student athlete at the time. But that was, as far as it went. And I was able to keep my job. And so I think because that happened so early, I was like, I felt restricted for the rest of the internship because I was like, I don't want to get in trouble again. I just want to, I just want to be like, just doing my thing. But it ended up being a really good experience. It taught me that I didn't want to work in politics, that it also showed me that too, because I used to say, oh, I want to be a senator, but it exposed some things that I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not into that. And so the camaraderie was great. I met some really great people that we are still connected with, and it's been 13 years later. Down to, like, my supervisors. Now we're like peers because I'm older now. And so it works out on a networking level. It is also bragging rights to a degree, depending on who you're speaking to. So I don't lead with it at all. Like, when people find out, it's usually like way after they've met me and they're like, oh, I didn't know. Because that's not who I am. It's just something that I've done. And I try to make sure that that is not like, you don't throw certain things in people's face to get you brownie points or anything like that. You just, okay, yeah, that was something I did. So I didn't really, like, plug it much. People always tell me to say it more, and I'm just like, it was an internship. Like, if I don't talk about my other internships that heavy, I'm not gonna do that one either. But yeah, it was a interesting experience. And the reason why it was super interesting is because it was my first time leaving home, right? Because John Jay is a commuter school. So I never lived away from home. So it was all of those feelings, in addition to being in the prestigious White House, like the biggest place you could be in the United States, and working. And so just navigating culture shock, cultural differences, being on a bus or a train and people making racial slurs in 2010. Like, it was a learning experience for me, I would say. But yeah, hope that helped.
Wow, that's interesting. And that transpired. I'm like, I would understand if you spoke in negative light about the president, but it was nothing like that. Oh, wow.
But they have to protect it regardless, because
Yeah.
media, your words can get spun at any given
Makes
time.
sense.
Yeah, I could say anything, and then it could just be flipped with the wrong. It could be flipped. So I get that. So in order to prevent it, they're just like, don't speak to them. So that's food child. I was like, y'all really inspire me.
Well, here's a good one, actually. This is a three-part kind of question. When did you realize you wanted to write a book?
Mm. I realized I always wanted to write. But I think I went through a really hard depression in the year of 2017. And so what I was doing was taking notes in my phone. And then I have thousands of notes in my phone. And so at one point I was just like, this has to get out of my phone so I could get it off of my chest and just like release it and be done with it. And so toward, I think, the end of 2017, I was able to meet a partner publisher on Instagram. And she said, we do coffee table books and this is what we do. And I was just like, okay, this could be a thing. So I started to send her a few drafts of my notes and she was like, I could totally see this. And so that's how the first book came about. Just reorganizing the pain that I was feeling and shifting it in a way where I'm not telling a sorry story, but like using it as a way to empower people as you navigate tough times and depression, and just shifting to choose joy and things like that. So yeah, depression helped me navigate into writing my first book.
And two parts of it is pretty cool. What is the most difficult part of writing a book? And what are your favorite books to read?
Ooh, the most difficult part of writing a book is finishing. And that you can literally go on and make the excuse like, oh, it's not ready yet, or I gotta edit some more. And my partner always told me, a writer's work is never done. It's either abandoned or due. So think about a paper, right? That you might have a paper, you might want to fine tune it, but your professor gave you a deadline. So I had to start rewiring myself with deadlines as it relates to the book, because if you don't have one, it will not be finished. So the hardest part was just actually finishing or choosing a deadline and sticking to it. With my latest book, I think I had 4 deadlines, and I finally finished it and published it on October 5th. So yeah. And then the last one, was what are my favorite books to read? My favorite kinds of books to read are on self-improvement, self-development, personal development. One of my favorite writers though is Maya Angelou and Toni Morrison. James Baldwin is another writer that I'm impacted by. And like, if I'm called to speak on a microphone during a protest, the first book that I'm resorting back to is like a James Baldwin piece, because I know that he represented the times when conflict was rising, and he was the observer. And I liken myself to an observer of sorts as well. So I like to read books that are empowering and helpful to help me grow. And now in my work of coaching, I like to recommend books. So I read as much as I can that will be helpful to somebody that I might know might benefit from it. So that way I could share it and recommend it.
Awesome. James Baldwin is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget you going. Where can we find your books? I think I know you stated it earlier, but say it
Yeah.
again.
So Wounded Liberation is available on Amazon. I sell it on my website for $35. Amazon is selling it for $5.47. So go to Amazon and go get that.
Oh.
Yeah, I let go of the financial part of that book because I'm just like, I want people to have it. So wherever you get it at this point, just go get it, you know? But Wounded Liberation by Crystal J. Ferguson is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, like anywhere you could find books. But Loving You into Freedom, the second book that was just released, and for those of you that might have come in after I introduced myself, that book was sparked through the experience I had with loving my partner into freedom, who was wrongfully convicted and served a prison sentence of 10 years. And so in walking it down with him, I realized that there was a wellness perspective that was missing. And like Toni Morrison says, if there's a book you want to read and you can't find it, write it. So that's what I did. And so that book is available on lovingyouintofreedom.com. Yeah.
Awesome, folks. We have a couple of minutes left. Any last thoughts? You know, this is the time. This was great. Folks came alive at the end. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm happy. And thank you all for joining me during community hour. That's great.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for coming during community hour.
I wish we had community hour when I was at John Jay.
My college we had nothing. I'm like, what? You guys don't classroom this time? Oh, this is great.
Amazing. Thank you, Jasmine, Tanya, Jasmine. Yeah.
Journey and determination. Thank you, Jasmine. I hope we pronounced that right.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I think I'm going to conclude it. If there's any thoughts, thank you, Sabrina. Awesome. So let's just give a round of applause. Crystal, I appreciate taking the time and you know, sharing your knowledge and your personal experience with us all. Learn a lot. It was great actually doing this. One of my really fun ones. Thank you, Crystal. One of my favorite ones. This was awesome. And also you folks for making it awesome too as well. So thank you all for coming. And if you have any questions, concerns, my email address is in the chat. Definitely you could throw it on over, and if Crystal's mine, definitely I could forward over to her. But get the book. I'll definitely be getting it. And as well, you folks enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. And I'm usually on campus a couple times out of a week. So I'll definitely share that with you guys. But yes, follow Loving You Into Freedom. And if you're looking for mentorship, internships, or brand ambassadorships, let me know.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thank
folks.
you.